What up, everybody? It is I, your boy, Game J. Hello. It's been a little while. I apologize that I didn't have a podcast up last week. It's like, look, I've been very busy with audiobook recordings and voiceover recordings and that side of things. And that's really the only reason why a podcast had not been uploaded on the regularly scheduled time of Mondays. But it's okay. I've gotten a little time to sit down and record one for everybody. So I don't know how long this podcast is going to go. Maybe about an hour. And we're just going to kind of go from there. But I do have a couple things to plug. I want to tell everybody to go check out the YouTube channel and the Twitch stream and my Instagram. And you could find me at GameJ or GameJisSus. And I am currently working on trying to get my old Twitch account back. And the reason for that is that current account is already under affiliate status, and it already has all the shade points and the rewards and everything set up on that one. Because for a little while, and the only reason the other streams have stopped recently is just due to my time personally. And if I can't meet a deadline in professional work, I can't sit there and make the excuse of like, oh, sorry, I had to do my podcast. They go, well, like, no, Jay, we hired you to do acting, like a job for us. It's like I have to prioritize that. But I was using the alternate Twitch stream, GameJisSus. And you know what? If you check it out there, please go give it a follow, just like the YouTube channel. Go subscribe to the GameJ YouTube channel. I'm at a point right now to where Tindalos, in conjunction and production, I said that twice, with Cited TV is still ongoing. The reason a new video has not been uploaded about Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2, the upcoming events with Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 3, or any of the other video essays that I had planned is I don't have a PC powerful enough to edit it anymore. And that's really the best I can say. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Twitch and we're going to run a little goal to see if I can get enough donations in order for me to get a new PC. Because don't get it twisted, it's just a reality of what it is. I've always appreciated the people who support me, and I'm not just talking about financially. I'm saying in general, but I initially didn't want to do this. I really didn't. But what I've come to realize is that through my own audiences, my little certified freaks out there, you know who you are, my day ones and shit, and even the day twos and day tens and day 100s, like everybody wants me to be successful, and they feel okay if I ask them for money. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you guys something in return that's worth your $1 donation. That's worth your $5 donation, because I'll feel bad if I have you guys donating me money and I'm not providing you any extra content. Like, that just doesn't make sense. I don't feel like that's an even trade. So I want to make sure that everybody gets their money's worth. Now, I have a couple ideas in the works. This reminds me of another plug. Go check out my Ko-Fi at GameJ or GameJisSus. I'll put links in the description and all that kind of stuff. And I will be doing more specifically for Ko-Fi members. And the reason is because, once again, it comes back to what I said earlier. I want to make sure that I'm giving everybody who watches and supports me something worth their time and worth their money. I don't want anybody going into it expecting something and then walking out going, well, that wasn't worth the money. I don't want that. I just don't want that. But that's all I got to plug right now. So like I said before, go check out the YouTube channel, the Twitch stream, and the Instagram, and the Ko-Fi at GameJ or GameJisSus. So we got some gaming news. Let's go into gaming news, shall we? Gaming news is one of those things that I always go back to because I'm always either flabbergasted, I'm confused. It's just a mixture of many emotions when I read gaming news because I've been gaming my entire life. I don't even know if I'm a gamer anymore. And that sounds weird saying that, but it's just the truth. And the reason I talk about gaming news is something that I started with a long time ago. And gaming news is something that I've always, not just gaming news, video games in general, I've always had a pretty strong opinion about, just like anything else that you'll hear me talk about. I have a pretty strong opinion about it. And it's not to be confrontational or anything like that. It's just an opinion. That's the whole point. Whether you agree or disagree, that's what we're doing here. We're talking to each other. It's just a little one-sided because everybody's listening to this pre-recorded, but that's okay. Anyways, into some gaming news. Overwatch 2 is going to bring back loot boxes in Season 15. Now, this is, when I first saw this, I went, I slapped my head. I went, oh, dear fucking God, Blizzard, what the hell are you doing? Why are you bringing back loot boxes? Spoiler alert, we know the answer. Money. It's a monetization model. But I digest. Who did I hear that from? Shout out to Danknet. I ever said, no. It wasn't Danknet. Shout out to Danknet anyway. He's awesome. Shout out to Beige Frequency on YouTube. Go check him out. He makes interesting video essays. I heard him say, I digest, instead of saying I digress. And ever since then, he's hooked me with that. So, shout out to Beige Frequency. I digest. Blizzard has announced that loot boxes will be making a return to Overwatch 2 in the game's upcoming 15th season. And that's not good. Doesn't sound good at all. But according to senior systems designer Gavin Winter, the goal for the return of loot boxes is keeping it fun while being transparent about what's inside and the rate of various drops from opening each box. Oh, dear God. Doesn't Overwatch 2 already have battle passes? Right? So now they have battle passes. Blizzard's also saying that you'll have the gamers, people who are playing Overwatch 2. I don't know anybody who's playing Overwatch 2 that isn't a content creator. I'm being dead serious. Like, I don't know anybody. I know somebody who tried it and said, nah, I'm not into it, and they went back to Overwatch 1. Like, I just don't know anybody. But it's the fact that doesn't mean people aren't playing it. It's just I know that Overwatch 2 is not even close to the levels of popularity that the first Overwatch is. It's Overwatch 2. It's very far and few between that sequels blow the original out of the water. Now, sometimes it happens, and that's a little more movie logic than it is video game logic. But either way, the statement still stands. In a game like Overwatch 2, it's been very clear that it has had an issue with keeping players and keeping interest, and it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, let's be real. It's a hero shooter, and hero shooters are fun, and it's cool for esports if you follow that. I don't follow esports, but I understand the merit behind it. Sidetrack, just a real sidetrack, real quickly. I'll get back to the Overwatch thing in a second because it is stupid, admittedly. I remember when people would mock gamers and esports players and stuff like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I did too. At that time, I did too. I thought it was stupid. I thought, and it's not gamers playing video games professionally for money that gave me any issues at all. I had no issues with that. What I actually had an issue with is they called it a sport. When I think about it now, I go, Jay, that's so stupid. Like, why would you actually care that much? I don't know. If I think back to what I probably said around 2014, 2015, it was probably because the fact for me, coming from an athletic background, that people were trying to compare it to actual sports doesn't mix well with me as a person. I just can't really agree with that. I can't stand on it. But what I can 10 toes on is the fact that if I have to put it in any type of sport, I would call it a mental sport. So I do nowadays kind of qualify it as a sport because it pretty much is. I mean, to me, what's the difference between playing Overwatch competitively and being a competitive chess player? The only difference is the interface that you're using to play the game. Chess is still a game. It's just a board game. Does that make any sense? I hope it makes sense the way I'm explaining it. Because to me, I just go, there's no difference between esports and chess in the sense of it's still a sport in the way of you have to use your mental acuity. You still have to train. You still have to practice. You still got to take care of yourself so you're mentally prepared and, you got yourself psychologically ready for whatever you got to do. I mean, think about the pressure that some of these players are under. They're playing for thousands of millions of people. Let's be real. Millions. Untold. And same with chess players. Well, probably not for maybe millions. I don't know. Either way, they're both taken seriously. And when I look at esports now, I go, yeah, okay, you know what? It's not a physical sport. It's a mental sport. So that's kind of how I see it. Anyways, segue over. Let me go back to Overwatch 2. Blizzard doing this doesn't surprise me at all. It honestly doesn't. It doesn't. I understand that Blizzard is saying something cute by going, oh, well, we're just going to make sure that we tell you what the rates are. And we're going to make sure that you know the variety of cosmetics you're going to get. We're going to know what skins you're going to get, the voice lines, and etc. Okay, but that also harkens back to the early days of the first Overwatch, and I find that to be pretty predatory. I mean, where's Chris Hansen? Can we sit Blizzard down? Can Chris Hansen come in and say, Blizzard, hey, take a seat. I got to talk to you, buddy. Nah, bro. Don't eat your Domino's pizza. This is a serious conversation. And I turned it into a stupid conversation. But the point of this is that Blizzard, using Overwatch 2, not using Overwatch 2, it's their game, but Blizzard in Overwatch 2 bringing back loot boxes in Season 15 is not surprising. It's also not surprising that these battle passes are not going to go away. It just makes sense. If anything, this feels like just another addition to the battle pass. And once again, we fall into the same thing. Overwatch 2, I played a little bit of it. I didn't have a big interest in it. I don't have a big interest in hero shooters anyway, so I'm not the target demographic here. But there are other people who love Overwatch. They play the Overwatch game. They have Overwatch shirts. They buy the Overwatch stuffed animal and the Pop Funko thing. They watch Overwatch porn and masturbate to. I don't know what Overwatch people do. I really don't. I mean, dude, some fans are deeper in it than others. I'm not hating on anybody. It's just a reality. Rule 34 is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Don't Google it. You'll regret life if you Google it. I warned you. So it doesn't surprise me that for an Overwatch fan, I'm not saying that Overwatch fans would even necessarily be okay with this. I think this is one of those modern gaming monetization policies where gamers just kind of shrug and go, yeah, I guess. I'm not going to buy any. But we know that's not technically true. Most people, I'd say about over half, have bought a loot box at least one point in time or have put in money monetarily into buy a microtransaction. And that's, look, in 2014, in 2015, when this stuff was really starting to roll out and like Gamergate was getting all crazy, and then we saw how DLC was changing, how games were going from completed experiences to live service games to where games that never end, and all this evolution that gaming went from gaming, plug in and play, to getting online connectivity to the modern gaming that we have today. It's so radically different, and something like this is a great example of it. Battle passes, loot boxes, weird monetization, not even weird, just standard monetization models that we all just kind of have to readily accept in the games that we like. Look, the best advice I can give is if you can't stop Blizzard from doing this. So the only way to really respond is by what I've said earlier. Put your money where your mouth is. Don't buy them. Just don't buy them. Don't buy the battle pass. I don't know what it is about first-person shooters, all of them having a fucking battle pass. It's like everybody looked at what Call of Duty was going and went, oh, we can make a fuckload of money doing that. Yeah, we should. And then Call of Duty goes, hey, quit stealing my gimmick, bitch. Like, it's so, I know I made it ludicrous, but at the end of the day, this does not surprise me that Blizzard is doing this. I just kind of feel bad for Overwatch 2 fans, if there are any left. I think there's more Titanfall 2 fans than there are actual Overwatch 2 fans. Either way, I feel bad. I feel bad for gamers who have to deal with Blizzard's bullshit because it's a pain in the ass. It's not upsetting. It's not something to get super angry about. It's just something you got to look at and go, okay, come on, guys. You already got battle passes. What's the point of now making people earn loot boxes in battle passes and just offering up for a microtransaction anyway? It's just for money. It's just a business practice, and it's just one that I look at and I consider it unsavory. Now, we got some really interesting news. I was just looking at my audio DAW over there. I was doing something funny. Anyways, this is some really interesting stuff coming from Steam and Valve. And Valve is always a company and a video game sales place, whatever you want to call it. Storefront. That's what I was looking for. Storefront. Steam is always a storefront that I'm going to look at forever. I still have Steam. I'm slowly accumulating my list and batch of games that you could do for Potato PC. I forgot I call it Potato PC now. I forgot what I called it last time on the last solo show I did. So now it's just called Potato PC. That means games that you can run on a potato top or a laptop or a toaster top, whatever you want to call it. Before I get distracted again, oh my God. This is about Steam, and Steam is now going to warn you if an early access game hadn't been updated in a while. And I think that's a good thing, okay? That's a really good thing. Valve has implemented a new feature on Steam that displays a warning when an early access game hasn't been updated in a while. And according to TechRaptor, which TechRaptor is pretty reliable when it comes to this type of stuff. So shout out to TechRaptor. I get a lot of my news from them. I love the site. Love to work for these guys one day. Either way, TechRaptor is saying that the first feature was spotted by a Steam database service, StreamDB, and the new warning can be seen underneath the game's early access disclaimer and before the FAQ, and it tells consumers how much time has passed since the game's last update, as well as warning that store page info may no longer be up to date. And that's a good idea. It's just a good idea. Now, are there going to be tweaks? Yes, there is. There's going to be issues with it. It's going to be finicky. It's going to be pesky every once in a while. Maybe it's not always going to work early on, but I think this is a good implementation all around. I think what Valve did is very wise, because how many games do we see on the Steam store that are early access that you kind of don't know if it's worth taking the risk? I mean, there's all different types of gamers out there. Some gamers stick to one game or a certain franchise of games that they like. Other gamers go bananas and try anything. They're easy. That's the way I'll say it. Some gamers are prude and other gamers are easy, and they're a lot more willing to take a risk. So I think this is good for consumers, for gamers. I think it's good for all of us, because at the end of the day, if you're able to have Steam point out to you that, hey man, hey girl, hey chick, hey dude, this game hasn't been updated in a year, that's going to mean a lot to you. Because say the game is in early access and it's been in early access for 2 years and they haven't made an update in 1 year, would you want to spend your money on it? I don't think you would. I don't think any gamer, any player, any consumer of anything is going to want to buy a game that hasn't been touched in a year, that there's been no updates that are worth noting. So this is just a good thing from Steam. There's not a lot much else to say about it. Yes, I do understand that there are some issues with it because it's not completely accurate and it's still new and they're still rolling out this feature. But either way, it's a good thing to have this little warning sign up here, mainly because it informs the consumer to allow all of us, myself included, if I buy an early access game ever again, which I'm very 50-50 on. It depends on the game, really. It gives all of us more information on how active this game is, how active the development on the game is, and if this is a game that is just shovelware that gets thrown out to the Steam page and it's just never to be completed and it just soaks up people's money, or if it's a game that the developers have real interest in bringing to completion. That's an important distinctive piece of information you kind of need to know if you're going to invest your money into video games. Look, let's be honest. Video games are expensive. No matter what country you're in, food costs are going up, living costs going up. Like, real life is hard out there. So if you're going to spend your hard-earned money, or however you get your money, you don't want to feel like you got ripped the fuck off. And that's what Steam is pretty much helping you do. It's helping you make an informed decision of how not to lose what's really important, money, and your enjoyment and all those other things. Yeah, all that stuff too. That's important too. When it comes to ridiculous statements, there is no better place to go than A, pro wrestling news, mixed martial art news, any type of celebrity news whatsoever, be it YouTuber famous or just movie famous. They all do goofy shit. But one of the best places you can go to is the gaming industry, because Electronic Arts, at one time being one of the most hated companies, which is probably still the case, just nobody wants to talk about it because they're getting paid decent money now, I imagine. And I don't want people losing their jobs. Either way, world's hard. EA, Electronic Arts, is saying some hilarious stuff. And what they're saying is they're saying Dragon Age, the Veilguard, flopped because of what reason? Was it because perhaps the story wasn't that great, or maybe the characters weren't as compelling, or perhaps there were gameplay elements that gamers didn't like, or there were things about the game's smoothness or the control scheme, or something about the currency system or the map or any other bajillion and a half million plus infinity on top with a sundae cherry reasons you could come up with or cobble together. No. EA cites that Dragon Age the Veilguard flopped because of no shared world elements. Now, during a financial statement earnings call for quarter 3 of 2024 to 2025, the fiscal year, CEO Andrew Wilson had a great theory about why Dragon Age the Veilguard flopped. And he said that EA's games need to directly connect to players who, he says, increasingly seek shared world features and deeper engagements. All right. As we know, or maybe some of you who don't know, Dragon Age the Veilguard was a single-player title. Single-player only title. Okay? There is nothing wrong with that. Dragon Age has always been a single-player title. To my knowledge. I mean, if they included something that I don't remember, well, just correct me in the comments or yell at me. It's fine. It's a conversation. I've always looked at Dragon Age as a game that was single player. It was an isolated experience. You were the hero. You were, what did they call the hero in Dragon Age? You were the Hawk. Or you were the chosen one, basically. It made you special in the game. It made you feel like the things that you did in that world had an impact. And don't get me wrong, Dragon Age is a pretty good game series. Now, we can go into differing conversations of which game is better. Is it Dragon Age Origins? Is it Dragon Age 2? Is it Dragon Age the Veilguard, which it currently isn't, obviously. But Dragon Age itself, EA did a great job when it came to creating and publishing Dragon Age. In general, it's a good game series. I highly recommend it. I will still tell people right now to go back and play Dragon Age Origins. That's how good Dragon Age actually is. And I don't say that out of nostalgia. I've gone back in my past, probably within the last 5 years, and I've played Dragon Age Origins. It's a really good game. And what did Dragon Age Origins not have? Multiplayer components. What did Dragon Age 2 not have? To my recollection, I could be wrong, but I don't believe they had multiplayer components in the single-player game. I remember that game being completely single-player in its experience, and both stories were good. Debatable on the second one being as good as the first one, but dude, that's a sequel. That's sequelitis, something we talked about earlier today. Not every single time does a sequel blow the first original game out the water. Sometimes it does in certain ways, other times it doesn't in others. That's just the gamble. That's what you get when you roll the dice on a sequel. There's nothing wrong with that. But the reason I'm pointing all this out in this long-winded fucking string of sentences and words I'm throwing together is that it has nothing to do with shared world elements. There is no proof, there's no correlation, there is nothing to indicate that just because EA fans have, what did he quote? What did Wilson quote? Andrew Wilson quoted, EA fans, players, increasingly seek shared world features and deeper engagement. Okay, that may be true. That could absolutely be true. However, what games are you talking about? Are you talking about your sports games? Are you talking about your fighting games? Because that doesn't seem like it relates at all to Dragon Age the Veilguard. Dragon Age the Veilguard is a single-player game. Single-player games like that They live and die by one thing: the quality of the game that is put out and finished to the gamer, to the player, to the consumer. Then it is up for the players to decide if they like it or not. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes good games go unnoticed. That does happen. But this isn't a little indie title that's appearing on the Steam page. This is from a multi-million-dollar video game conglomerate. There was tons of press on this. I guarantee you. There was tons of promotion. There was tons of trailers. There was game reveals. There was updates. There was news. I bet you GameSpot, IGN, Gamasutra, Eurogamer. I guarantee you all the major video game websites probably covered it. Of course they did. Fuck, TechRaptor covered it. You shitting me? So it's one of those things for Andrew Wilson, and I don't know the guy, so I'm not criticizing him as a person. I don't wish any ill will on anybody that I have a comment on, or I have a critique on about something, or I have a difference of opinion. But to say that Dragon Age the Veilguard didn't do well because it lacked shared world elements, I just don't believe that. That doesn't make any sense, because that doesn't correlate with the entirety of the Dragon Age fan base. Dragon Age fans aren't in it to like go run around with their fucking friends and fight dragons and all that kind of shit. No, they're not. They're not. Dragon Age is a RPG with a huge, huge branching story with multiple choices in dialogue, in endings, in ways that you do things within the game itself. It changes the story. Sometimes it's a big way, other times it's just in a simple dialogue way. But that's the replayability on why Dragon Age fans, myself personally, I can't speak for other ones, but why I played Dragon Age so much, because I loved the story. I enjoyed it. I liked being able to customize my own character and throw my character into this world where all this insanity was really going on. You have magic, and you have blood magic, and you have swords, and you're living in medieval times, but it's oddly, I know we're in medieval times in Dragon Age, but for whatever reason, I could see a sorcerer say a spell, and then he has a magic cell phone in his hand, but they don't call it a cell phone. They call it like a divinity interpretator. Oh, I just made that up. That's awesome. A divinity interpretator. What does that do? Oh, it casts out a signal into the cosmos, and I can communicate with people all across the land. Like, oh, yeah, let's do it. The whole point is, Andrew Wilson, I got to disagree, man. I got to disagree. I don't think Dragon Age the Veilguard flopped because of shared world elements. I think it underperformed mainly due to the fact that Dragon Age the Veilguard just might not have been the Dragon Age game that Dragon Age fans wanted. That's the theory I'm going with. I had to talk about this today. I had to talk about the Video Game History Foundation opens up a free online gaming history library. And this is important because I've heard, shout out to Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamers, who has talked about this in the past, and he's been somebody I paid very close attention to when it comes to talking about video games, because he makes very good media. He does a really good job. So shout out to Mudahar and Sog. You know, I'm Some Ordinary Gamer myself. I'm a subscriber, so much love to him. But I heard him talking about this before in the past. Not the Video Game History Foundation. No, I'm talking about the preservation or the lack of preservation that we have in video games. I mean, there's a tons of video games out there right now that are just gone. They're just gone. There's no more physical copies left. All we have is like maybe somebody has one floating around somewhere, but by all intents and purposes, they're just eliminated. They don't exist anymore. And I think it's important that the Video Game History Foundation, VGHF, I'll just say for now, or I'll say the whole thing. I don't know. It depends on me. The fact that they launched a online library that has a huge just vault of gaming history research materials, that's a big deal. It really is. Because the amount of information that you have about video games, and we don't even know what video game. It could be on stuff from the 80s or rotoscoping, or it could be about processors and just all different types of stuff. From the fact that there could be magazines in there. There's actually, I'll list it out right now. Thank you, Tech Raptor. What they're going to have is unseen game development materials. big, like, iconic press kits and promos from, like, well-known games, and over 1,500 full-text searchable out-of-print video game magazines. That's really important, man, because what's one thing every gamer of a certain age grew up with? GamePro, Nintendo Power, PlayStation Magazine. Like, we grew up with gaming magazines, and to see them preserved on an online format, it's better than nothing. And I think that's a very relevant thing to do because it's part of history. I know video games have only recently become taken seriously in pop culture, in the modern world, because I came from a time period where if you were a gamer, you were a loser. People used to bully you and beat you up for playing video games. And what's really funny is they would only beat up the nerdy kids who really liked video games, like super liked them and talked about them all the time. And then a jock would beat them up. But that jock would go home and play NBA Live 95 on a Sega. It's so stupid. People are silly. But either way, it's good what the Video Game History Foundation is doing. I think it's important. I think it's important to preserve these types of things because physical copies degrade over time. And to put them on an online catalog, basically, a big library, a big, huge Warner Brothers vault full of video game development materials, press kits, promos, video game magazines. It's literally a treasure trove for, honestly, any nostalgic driven person who needs a little bit of that little old nostalgia drip. You're going to get it if you visit this library. And it's just a great thing. It really is. Now, it's kind of cool. VGHF not explicitly, but they direct to the Mark Flitman papers. And that is a series of digitized documents and file backups kept in the basement of retired video game producer Mark Flitman. Now, this dude, Flitman, this boy's been busy, I'll tell you that much, man. Dude has worked for Konami, Acclaim, and Midway during the 90s and the 2000s. You gotta realize, man, that's legit. That's dope. That was a time when video games were on the rise. From the 90s to the 2000s, shit was popping. Video games felt so different back in those days to what they do now. And all this is available right now. So you can go check it out right now. As far as other things that the library includes, it's going to include over 100 hours of footage from Cyan's work on the Myst series. Now, if you don't know about Myst, it's kind of like an old school walking simulator. It's a puzzle solver. It's a lot of point and click, but it's a very interesting game. Now, I only played Myst only a little bit, so I didn't play it too much. I was more interested in games like Fallout and those types of games, and Simon the Sorcerer, and just different types of point and click adventure games. Don't get me wrong, I played a little bit of Myst, but I think I was more of a Thief fan than I was of a Myst fan at that point in time, if that makes any sense. But this online library, it is available now. It is open. So just go Google Video Game History Foundation online library, and I'm sure you're going to find it. I think something like this, what the VGHF is doing, is going to prove more bountiful than people actually think. I think the levels of research that one can do are now going to change because when you have access to all those magazines from that many different sections of years, you can get a real bird's eye view and a real up close look. Well, you can go from a bird's eye view to an up close look at what was going on in video games at that time. You can get kind of like not alive, but like a record of what people were thinking about video games at that time, how the industry was communicating, what type of coverage was being made at that time. And what I mean is, like, there's all sorts of different types of coverage because culture changes, people change, the way we talk about video games changes, the way it just goes along with anything. You like what you're able to see from those documents from the 90s to the 2000s specifically from Flitman is you get to see an evolution of gaming of 10 years, of a decade. At least. They said 90s to 2000s, so it's at least a decade of information. That's a lot to go through, and that's awesome. Especially if you're a fan of video games, if you're a fan of the video game business, it's going to be relevant to you. If you're a YouTuber and you make content about video games, if you don't think that something like this is going to be relevant to you, you're out of your mind. It absolutely is. It's a treasure chest. It's Pandora's box, except instead of Pandora, it's awesome things about games. Hello Games is in the news again. And this time, Hello Games and No Man's Sky Worlds Part 2 update is going... a lot of stuff has happened, so they're going to be bringing new planets to explore as part of this update. There's going to be new story content, and there's also going to be... This is adding into the update. From the first update that I wasn't able to cover because I was doing other things and working, Part 2 is going to introduce stranger, more alien terrain for gamers to explore. They got new mountains, valleys that are deep, and sprawling plains on untouched planets. Ooh, very mysterious. There's also been a new class of star that's been added in this update in the form of something called a purple class solar systems. Or purple class solar systems, rather. And that's going to bring new worlds for gamers to discover as they travel throughout the game. Another addition is you're going to actually be able to explore the deep oceans, and you could walk around the ocean floor. You could pick up SpongeBob. You could figure out why Sandy lives under there. I don't know why. It's weird. She's a squirrel. Either way. And then additionally, other outwardly landscapes. And this is in their quotes, and I quote this, and quote, secretive aquatic life forms. That's interesting. That really is. And look, No Man's Sky is a game that went through a ton of controversy. It went through this rise, a fall, and then now it's in the rise again. It's basically YouTube video essay fodder for anybody who's willing to do the research. And I'm sure tons of creators have. It's just that I got a weird connection in No Man's Sky through my good friend Cobra at Cobra TV, I believe he's currently covering things like Starbound. And shout out to Cobra TV, my brother. I love him to death. I wish him all the best. And he started, when his channel really blew up, he started covering No Man's Sky. And he got me involved in No Man's Sky just on the fact of how much coverage he was doing, and I would always talk to him about it. So No Man's Sky to me has a sentimental value. So when I see news about No Man's Sky, I'm very quick to pick it up and to read it just to see what's going on. And I think everybody has games like that. But when it comes to No Man's Sky Worlds Part 2 and the update, you're going to get new terrain, additional stuff with the story, purple class solar systems, and you're also going to be able to explore the ocean floor in a game where it's procedurally generated content and the whole thing is mining, minerals, doing whatever you want in this world. They're just giving you more reasons to stick around the game. And that I look at as a firm positive. Let's just hope it doesn't suck. In other news, and this comes via TechRaptor, so shout out to TechRaptor again. They have pretty good articles that I enjoy reading from time to time, especially when I'm looking at stuff for updates about the podcast when I do solo shows. And this is about GOG, Good Old Games. And Good Old Games have done something awesome. They have brought back Dino Crisis 1 and Dino Crisis 2 onto the GOG storefronts. That's awesome. Both Dino Crisis games, they're going to be DRM free, and all their original content is going to be included, and that was part of a GOG's statement that they made. And additionally, they're also going to be a part of the GOG preservation program, which means they fixed it up and polished it a little bit to make it more playable on modern systems, meaning PCs and the like. So basically they went in, they just touched up a few things, painted the walls, fixed the wires, made sure the plumbing worked. They just gave it a little touch up, gave it a little haircut, so to speak. So that's cool. And look, one of the most legit things that they did, one of the best things that they did was they increased resolution support. They had some fixes and obviously modern controller compatibility, which is a big deal. If you're going to be putting a game with tank controls over onto the PC, yeah, you could play with mouse and keyboard, but if you're going to play Dino Crisis, come on, homie. Look, let's be real. You want to play it on a controller. There's a legitimate, I've been thinking about this, and this is a totally different conversation, on controller versus PC, a controller versus mouse and keyboard. Now, when it comes to games like Dino Crisis and Dino Crisis 2 and Resident Evil and games that typically arrived on consoles or third-person type games in general, there is an argument to be had where you go, yeah, just let me get a controller. Is it as accurate and as pinpoint precise as a mouse and keyboard? No, not at all. Am I biased because I enjoy playing things on a controller more than a mouse and keyboard? Yes, I am, and I will happily admit that. But there's also games that I have a bias towards playing on mouse and keyboard because they're exclusively PC games, and that's how I learned how to play them in the beginning. So I think it's a level of what the gamer's comfortable with. But the very fact that they included those types of things, such as modern controller compatibility, that they fixed the resolution, that they went into the game itself and tried to fix some of the issues that were quote unquote common to the game itself. That's not a bad thing. It's also going to include, in Dino Crisis 1, is going to include its original arrange and operation wipeout modes. That's cool. That's a throwback. That's something that if I get the money up for it, I will absolutely play good old games version of Dino Crisis 1 and probably 2. But as you all know, I have a potato PC and it's not even a PC, it's a laptop. And I have no idea if I could even run or stream something like a Dino Crisis 1 or a Dino Crisis 2. I'm 99% sure my laptop could play it. I'm not confident at all that my laptop could stream it. So unfortunately, I won't be able to stream it. Other people will though, and other people will be able to play it, and I'm really happy that they will because Dino Crisis, I remember when I got it, when I first played it, I take that back. I didn't even buy it. I had rented it from a Blockbuster. That's how far back this is going. At least that's the memory I have. I believe I got it from a Blockbuster. It could have been a GameStop. I don't remember. It was a game store. I'll just say game store just to be general enough so in case my memory comes back and I'm wrong, I can correct myself later. But it was either a Blockbuster or a GameStop or something like that. And I remember playing it. And for whatever reason, I just loved the whole fact of getting dropped into this environment. And to me, it was Resident Evil with not zombies. It was Resident Evil with dinosaurs. And I went, oh yeah, this is awesome. Like, bet, I'm in. Sign me up. Click. I got my seatbelt buckled. I'm going for a ride. So to find out that GOG, Good Old Games, is just resurrecting Dino Crisis 1 and Dino Crisis 2. Hey, go check out GOG. There's a reason they're called Good Old Games. And this article right here, what I'm talking about right now, is just another additional piece of logic and reasoning why they are. All right, we got some news coming in from Helldivers 2. Helldiver 2. I don't know why I made myself sound Japanese or Asian, and I used dos instead of two. Anyways, I'm being ridiculous. Okay, whatever. Helldivers 2. Johan Pilstedt is going to be taking a sabbatical before working on the next game. And this is, if you don't know who Johan Pilstedt, I can't pronounce his name for the life of me, but I'm aware of who he is. He is the chief creative officer over at Arrowhead Game Studios, so the CCO. And he's going to take an extended sabbatical from working, and when he returns, he's going to be working on the next Arrowhead game, a new one. And that's fine. That's fine. There's literally no reason why this is anything other than just good for you, dude. Take your sabbatical. And the reason I say that is because, okay, Arrowhead Game Studios, I played the first Helldivers with my good friend Scott Craighead, who used to be on YouTube. I've done a lot of work with him over the years. I mean, we've made video games together. I mean, I didn't make it. I provided voice work for him. I mean, he's a good friend. He's like a brother to me. And he got me the first Helldivers, and we played the shit out of that game. And it was fun for a time. Time passes, and then I kept Helldivers in the back of my mind because it is a fun game. The first Helldivers was a top-down shooter, and that was fine. But when they made Helldivers 2 and they dropped the camera down, they made it a third-person type of massive multiplayer adventure, big PvE environment where you go around and you fucking shoot everything and you're just blasting and you're upgrading. You're getting all this armor, and they made it like basically Starship Troopers, just called Helldivers too. It was everything that I ever wanted. I mean, I like Helldivers 2 a lot. Everybody knows this about me. I'm a big supporter of Helldivers. I haven't played it in almost a year, mainly because of the lack of PC technological advancement, but that's a different story. It doesn't mean that I don't still like Helldivers. Helldivers 2 is a fun game. It really is. So, for Johan or Mr. Palstedt to be taking a sabbatical, okay, and just to chill out for a little bit and recoup and recover and come back to Arrowhead Game Studios with even more vigor and vibrance in order to bring something new and fresh. And it doesn't even have to be new or fresh. It could just be good. It could just be good. Because what is one thing that we hear all the time in the game industry, even to this day? It's burnout. It's crunch time. It's being so consumed by these projects for so long that you literally don't have time to do anything for yourself. And look, I'm a guy who doesn't particularly do a lot for myself. I associate a lot of my positive emotions and stuff like that with productivity. I mean, that's kind of how I align myself. I'm very obsessive like that. But I understand other people in the real world who are normal. They would like to be able to take a little break and then they come back. I mean, there's a reason why sabbaticals are a thing. It's very true that if somebody works all the time, what was it? I gotta quote The Shining. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Or I gotta quote Homer. All work and no play makes Homer something something. And then Marge goes, "Go crazy? Don't mind if I do." That's exactly what's going on. We don't want our good friend, Mr. Palstedt, that's how I say it. Sorry, buddy, my bad. We don't want him to go crazy. We don't want him to turn into Jack fucking Torrance. Okay? He seems like a nice enough guy. I don't know him personally. I don't wish anything bad on him as a human being. I like the game that he games, quote unquote, too, that his development studio came out with, that he's a CCO of. So I got nothing but, hey man, enjoy your vacation. And when you come back, let's see what you make. Because I'm interested. I'm be paying close attention to it. I'm a big fan of Alan Wake. I will state that right now. Hi, my name is Game J, and I'm a big fan of Alan Wake and Remedy Entertainment in general. I love Alan Wake. I love American Nightmare. And Alan Wake 2 is a thing that happened. I played Control, and I thought it was average at best. Alan Wake 2 is considered finally profitable as sales break the 2 million barrier. Fantastic. That's awesome. Remedy Entertainment has finally announced that Alan Wake 2 is profitable, and they have actually recouped its development cost and marketing fees by the end of last year. Fantastic for them. Absolutely. I think Remedy Entertainment is a game studio that I don't ever want to see close. It would be dangerous for gaming to lose a studio like Remedy Entertainment. Remedy Entertainment started in a weird way, not necessarily in a strange way, or like they had a weird way as in they hired a cult leader to sacrifice a chicken, poured blood on them, and all of a sudden they became good programmers. No, it's just that they've had a long, slow rise into success, and it really happened with Alan Wake 2. And before that, it was Max Payne. If I cite anything that Remedy was a part of that really put them on the map, it would have had to have been Max Payne, and then they moved on to Alan Wake, which, you know, believe it or not, didn't sell as well as people might have you believe. It didn't do as good as people think. However, over time, people have discovered Alan Wake, and they understood of how good of a title it is. Because let's be real, man, it's just a dude in the woods with a flashlight and a gun and flares. It's about an alcoholic writer who is, if I can be totally honest, he's not a good writer either. He's really not. Look, you could be a New York Times best-selling author, and you could be a shitty writer. Okay, it's just a reality. Okay, the what do you call it? The scale of being a great writer and just being a writer who sells is two completely different caveats. But either way, Alan Wake is a whatever. He's a writer, and Alan Wake 1's good because that's really the backdrop. It's about the darkness and this overarching ominous presence of evil, and then you have this whole story of Alan Wake and Alice, and then the lady in black and the old gods of Asgard, and I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And then we had the reveal of Mr. Scratch in Alan Wake's American Nightmare, and in Alan Wake 2, Mr. Scratch takes a deeper involvement with that game itself. I mean, he's the major protagonist, and it really carries the entire story. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I just wanted to talk about this for a second because I'm a big fan of Alan Wake. And Alan Wake 2, yeah, while I don't really like the game as much as I like the first one, or even as much as American Nightmare, I still will support it, mainly due to the fact of I don't want a studio like Remedy to die. I'm really happy for Remedy Entertainment that Alan Wake 2 is actually profitable now, because I have a theory that we are going to get an Alan Wake 3. I don't know when we'll get an Alan Wake 3. Maybe in the next 5 to 10 years we'll get an Alan Wake 3. Hopefully I'm alive to see that. I would love to be. If I'm not, whatever. I can't do anything about it. I'll be fucking dead, right? Just what am I going to do? Fucking resurrect myself from the goddamn cadaver-driven broken gray flesh and pop out of the ground? No. And play the game? No, that's ridiculous. Don't be silly, Jay. And people, you're hilarious. I'm just happy that Alan Wake 2 got made. And while it's not as good as the first one, I still think it's a pretty good contender. And it does wrap up some elements in the story from the first game and from other parts of the game and from cameos and all this other stuff that it had in other games that Remedy Entertainment made. I mean, it's even in, what was that game? Quantum Break? Quantum something? Hold on, let me look it up real quick. Remedy, I gotta look this up. Remedy Entertainment, what was it? Quantum, I keep forgetting what it was called. Yeah, it was called Quantum Break. That's it. Yes, thank you, Internet. Appreciate it, Google. There was even hints and like Easter eggs and stuff about Alan Wake in Quantum Break, which was, you know what? There's another game that was pretty good. I think, if I think about the games that I like from Remedy, it's Remedy. It's going to go Alan Wake, Max Payne, Alan Wake's American Nightmare, and then you got Quantum Break, because Quantum Break's actually kind of fun, because I love the whole concept of playing with time and the whole time manipulation thing. And yeah, is it kind of cheesy? Is it kind of dorky and stupid? I'd be like, yeah, it is, dude. But like, dude, come on, this is video games. Everything is you got to give a little sense of, you got to allow yourself to play into the fantasy if you're going to have a good time. Alan Wake in itself is a very heavily supernatural style game, and Quantum Break is very sci-fi in its design and its style. So if I get back to the whole point about Remedy Entertainment announcing that Alan Wake 2 is finally profitable, good. Let it be profitable. Let more gamers pick up Alan Wake 2. Hopefully it brings them back to Alan Wake 1, the first game, the original, and then Alan Wake's American Nightmare, because that'll give you a deeper understanding of how Mr. Scratch kind of came around, because that was a big way on how they promoted the game in the first place. If you go to YouTube, you will find the guy who played Alan Wake, obviously also plays Mr. Scratch. He did a series of advertisements for Remedy Entertainment, and they're not bad. They're really high quality. They're absolutely amazing. The guy went full out. He went full Mr. Scratch, and Mr. Scratch is this psychotic, unhinged, unstable doppelganger of Alan Wake. He's Alan Wake unlocked, and it's awesome. It's jaw-droppingly hilarious, but at the same time, you could tell that Mr. Scratch is a dangerous entity. And look, at the end of the day, I'm going to cut it here. Alan Wake 2 being profitable is nothing but a good thing for Remedy Entertainment, because Remedy Entertainment needs to survive, because for better or worse, that anything that Remedy has always gone through, for better or worse in the gaming industry, Remedy makes games that are fun. They make games that are fun, and they make games that leave an impression on you. And I think that is probably one of the most important reasons, outside of just making money, why game studios should be around, because they make games that are good. And sometimes, like in an Alan Wake situation, they make a game that is excellent and it transcends generations and it becomes a part of gaming history. Because I don't care what anybody says, Alan Wake is absolutely a part of gaming history. It's a part of gaming culture. It's a cult classic for a reason because it's that damn good. Phasmophobia. Shout out to Athior and my good friend John, who got me into Phasmophobia in the first place. I remember playing this on stream with Athi. I was playing with Fleets, and this game is fun. It honestly is. Phasmophobia, for those who don't know, is a game where you're a ghost hunter. It's a multiplayer-focused ghost hunting game. It's a horror game too, but I don't really find it horrible. I find it kind of more entertaining and funny. Although there are moments where it gets a little weird because I remember being stuck in a bathroom and I didn't want to move because I kept hearing the ghost, or what I thought was the ghost at the time. It turned out Athior was just trolling me when he was running around, and it scared the fuck out of me. It startled me. I went, oh God. What do I do? They're like, don't move, Jay. Don't move. I go, all right, bet. I won't move. I hear the footsteps, and I go, okay, I don't hear anything. I think I'm going to open the door. And they're going like, oh, you sure? It's like, yeah, I'll go out. And then I open the door, and Athior scares the shit out of me. I'm like, God damn it. All right, bet. But this is just giving you a little history on my own personal experience with Phasmophobia. I think Phasmophobia is fun. I think it's a good time. I think it's a very simple game, but in its simplicity is where some of the greatness can be seen within this game. It's a lot of fun, and it does take a lot of brain power. It really does. You have to kind of remember what certain ghosts are attracted to, what'll reveal them, what you need to spot them, to identify them, to journal them and document them, etc. And Kinetic Games, rather. I don't know why I said splits. Oh, it's in the fucking article. Kinetic Games has just recently shared a Phasmophobia roadmap for 2025. And in the second major updates. There's 3 elements. I'm getting confused. It's my fault. Phasmophobia's roadmap is going to be sectioned off in the 3 elements: major updates, maps and reworks, and seasonal events. Okay? In the second major update, it's going to bring a player character overhaul to give you more choices when it comes to your Ghost Hunter. You can also look forward to refreshed models, improved animations, and a lot more. And unfortunately, full customization isn't coming along until next year in 2026. In the maps and reworks column, there's going to be a brand new map coming this year in 2025. Kinetic is not saying too much about it, but they are saying that the map will be small and based in a quote-unquote totally unique, unquote, location. So I don't know what that means. That's very vague, but a small, totally unique location. I couldn't even gather to make a single guess of what the fuck that could actually be, but that's okay. It's just one of those deals that it's very vague, but hey, you know what? It garnered enough interest where people are going to talk about it. There's also going to be reworking done for quite a few of the maps. You're going to see redone versions of Bleasdale, Grafton Farmhouses, and 6 Tanglewood Drive. So the first rework is going to be for Bleasdale Farmhouse, and that's going to be in the springtime. And Kinetic is quoting around March. If it actually comes out in March, maybe not. Delays happen, who knows. But right now, its tentative release date is going to be in March. And then the other 2, be it Grafton Farmhouse and 6 Tanglewood Drive, that's going to be coming sometime later in 2025. And then following into 2026, they're going to additionally work on more maps, and they're going to create new maps for Phasmophobia. However, Kinetic did not choose to share any details about that. And when it comes to wrapping up some things about the roadmap, we talked about it earlier. We talked about, what was it called again? It just left my brain. It was seasonal events. That's what it was. Thank you very much, brain. Thank you. In seasonal events, they're going to do a Halloween event, winter event with the same themes, and then they're going to do a new take on Easter, which is also going to be coming in April. So Phasmophobia is a game that has sold over 2 million copies on console. That doesn't even I don't even know the numbers of what they sold on PC because that's where it was born. But holy shit. Phasmophobia. If you're a fan of Phasmophobia, Kinetic is really giving you reasons to stick around and to return to that game. They absolutely are. They're putting in a lot of work, and I'm going to check it out if I can get my PC to run it because that'll just be a good time. If I can, I will stream it. Believe me, there is nothing more that I want to do than to run back into that Phasmophobia world, go into the house, play with the Ouija board, and go, come out, ghost! Get out of here, you little pencil neck geek. Get the fuck over here. Haunt me, bitch. Like, no, those ghosts will kill me in a second because I'm just that antagonistic. But I want to go back to Phasmophobia. When I read news like this, even if I didn't do a show about gaming or acting or any of this shit, I would still be interested in this type of news because I went, oh shit, all right, bet. Phasmophobia is coming out with new stuff. They got character overhauls. They're going to be improving the maps. They're giving me reason, and all of you listening right now, reason to visit the game again. So I think it's a great thing. I just really do. Okay. When I think about video game movies or nerd movies or comic book movies or just geek culture types of movies. You know what never actually crossed my mind? Something that Hasbro and Legendary Pictures are putting together. It's about Magic the Gathering, the card game. I tried it. I didn't really like it, but that's also because I've never been a big fan of collectible like card games. I'm just not a big fan. The only card game I really got into was Cards Against Humanity, and that was for a really limited time. I was with my girlfriend at the time. I mean, this was years ago. I mean, this is my ex-girlfriend now, but I was with my girlfriend at the time, and everybody was drinking, and I didn't drink at that time. I haven't drank alcohol in years. I don't drink, but what they would do is they would drink like their beer and their liquor, and I would just smoke weed because at that time I was smoking a lot of weed. I don't smoke weed anymore, but I mean, hey, that's what it is. You know, I would smoke a lot of weed. I'd be getting high and playing Cards Against Humanity, and that I had a lot of fun with. However, if I think about Magic the Gathering being turned into a movie, it's going to be a live-action Magic the Gathering film. And I honestly can't see that being something that's even a problem. I'm looking for a reason on why I could not like it. And everything about me goes, no, that's fine. That's fine. I don't got any issues with that. It's kind of inoffensive, really. I mean, there's no reason to be offended about a fucking movie, especially one about Magic the Gathering. Look, it's a card game. It really is. And then, additionally, what Legendary Pictures wants to do, in collaboration with Hasbro, is after they make the movie, Legendary Pictures and Hasbro are going to work on producing live-action television shows and other content, other media for the Magic the Gathering universe. So there's I think I know what they're trying to do. I think what they're trying to do is do what Marvel did with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're trying to create the Magic the Gathering verse. The Magic Verse. That's what we'll call it. We'll dub it the Magic Verse or the Gather Verse. Oh, no, I don't really like that. That sounds like a bunch of juggalos who are in Shangri-La. That's terrifying. But yes, I think they're just trying to make the Magic Verse. They want to take it from playing cards and move it to movies. They want to move it to television shows. Don't get me wrong, Magic the Gathering has video games. I've never played one, but I know they exist. And I know Magic the Gathering fans like them and don't like them for their own separate reasons. I haven't done enough research on either of them to make an accurate comment or have a real opinion about it. So I won't even try to make one about something I don't know enough about. But if you want to know anything about Legendary Pictures are the studio behind the Monsterverse, the people who did the Toho Godzilla movie adaptations. And what was it? They adapted the Toho Godzilla monsters into blockbuster feature films alongside the Apple TV series Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. And that their latest success is the 2 live-action Doom movies, and now the spin-off show Dune: Prophecy for the Max streaming service. And it's like they have the credibility associated with it. It's not like there's some schlock production company that's going to be taking the reins of this. No, I mean, these people very much know what they're doing. This company does. And to have Hasbro give their blessing, and they're also throwing money down with Legendary Pictures to do this, I think there's a great chance that we'll get a movie, and based on how well that movie does, maybe we'll get the live action television shows. Or they might put them out anyway, because here's a weird thing. With Legendary Pictures and Hasbro putting out the Magic the Gathering, the Magic Verse, basically, it might flop as a movie and it might do well as a series on television. It might do well as it might do bad as a television series, and the movie did well. Or both of them are bad, or both of them are good. I mean, just the options are they're limited in a way, but there's only so many ways it can go. But I still find it compelling because, remember, Magic has been around, the Gathering, the game, it's been around for over 30 years. That's a long time. When you have 30 years of story, of characters, of locations, of places, of everything, of this entire world and universe and entity that Hasbro has created with Magic the Gathering, the amount that Legendary Pictures, or whoever they choose to write for them on this one, whoever they choose to write this, whatever group of writers, rather, it could be one, could be many, they have 30 years of stuff to sift through. Now, that seems like a lot, and it is, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to only sift through so much, but there's a lot to go through for them to find something that they like to go with. And then if they run into an issue, they could easily go right back into that same lore material, that canon material, the history of Magic, and come out with something else that makes the movie good or makes the show good. It also helps the TV show. Now, I know TV and film are different entities. So are comic books. So is trading cards. So are video games. They're all different. And adaptations always run this issue of flopping because they either stayed too loyal to it, you had the wrong people making it, you had the series or the movie go too far away from what the original stuff was. I mean, it really depends on the franchise and the fans and how the movie's made or the film is made, etc. There's so many spinning plates right now that all I see on this Magic the Gathering announcement with Hasbro and Legendary Pictures making a movie and then they want to make a television show, I go, that's interesting. We'll see what happens with this one. Because right now, all I get from Magic the Gathering is a big question mark. Because I am very unsure on how this little theory is going to play out. They might try to make the Magic verse. And I think that might depend. That's my theory. That Hasbro and Legendary Pictures are trying to make the Magic verse, and the only way they're going to do that is if the film's successful and they can make live action television shows on top of that. So the adaptation, it has to hit perfectly. They got to catch lightning in a bottle. If they don't, Magic the Gathering has the same opportunity to go the way of Dungeons and Dragons. Does anybody remember that Dungeons and Dragons movie? I do. It's terrible. Don't watch it. I had to watch it. It was fucking a bit. Would anybody like me to do a watch along of Dungeons and Dragons so I can explain how? Okay, no, look, I'm just kidding. I don't want to submit myself to that. Maybe I do. Give me all the quarters and I will watch Dungeons and Dragons. This is not about Dungeons and Dragons. I think that Magic the Gathering movie, it's a big question mark, and we'll just find out more when we find out more. I'm going to have to watch it now. Good God. And that about wraps up everything that I was going to talk about in gaming news. I mean, gaming news spews out every single day, and there's always something that I find interesting. So anytime I do a solo show, you can always expect a little bit of gaming news. Now, since I have been talking about gaming today, I'm going to continue with the segment that I did the last solo show I did. I think it was like Phrasing with J3 or something like that, I believe. And it was gaming on potato PCs or something like that. I've just given it a new title. I call it Potato PCing because anytime I think of potato PCing, I think about playing video games on a low-end computer. And that's what I call it. And last time I talked about Death Road to Canada. Death Road to Canada is a fun game, and I highly encourage people go check out PWJ3, Episode 3, and hear what I have to say about that. As far as Potato PC and today, I'm going to be talking about two games, but one is a sequel to the other. It is Party Hard and Party Hard 2. Party Hard is a amazing game. I love Party Hard. I love the pixel art, believe it or not. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of pixel games. Pixel games are kind of hit and miss for me. There are some games that I play that are pixel art, and I go, ew, nah, I'm not really into it. Not cool. Not really my style. Party Hard. The pixel art doesn't bother me. I like the aesthetic. I love the little, they kind of look like stick figures in a way, but not. There's way more detail. It just, for whatever reason, it gives me a very retro throwback feeling to older games I played way back in the day on the old consoles and old PCs. But I like Party Hard. And I like Party Hard because it's about a guy who can't get any sleep. And he loses his fucking mind. So he, in his ultimate wisdom, the main character decides to just go kill everybody. He's just going to kill partiers. And I go, all right, sign me up. I'm down for that. It's very nice to know that I'm an absolute sociopath when it comes to video games. Dear God, you should see me play Sims. Oh, I have a story about that in the future. We'll save it for a future episode. Shout out to the Stevie Richards show right there. Party Hard is a good game. It's like, it is three-dimensional. It's pixel art, and it has full controller support. And the whole game is that you have to kill a certain amount of people without being caught by the police, and you got to do it in a slick way. And you have multiple ways to assassinate people. It kind of feels like Hotline Miami and Hitman combined into one game, because that's what it basically is. You're just being Hitman. It's like a broke dude's Hitman, and I love it. It's so fun. Like, there's ways you could blow people up, you could set them on fire, you could kill them with weapons, you could hide bodies in dumpsters. It's just a ridiculous game. It's a ridiculous game, and I've learned to qualify what I think is good. What I think makes a game good is, obviously this is a personal preference, but I think Party Hard is a very enjoyable game. It's one of those games that if you're an adult and you're listening, it's one of those games that you can pick up and play for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes, an hour, whatever you want to spend on it, and then you can put it down and you can go do something else in life that you need to go do. Because as we know, it's very different when you're a teenager and you have all the time, or a kid, and you have all the time in the world to be on the couch or sit on your floor and play a video game or sit in your computer chair, whatever kids are doing these days. Probably sitting in a computer chair playing video games, playing Fortnite, on Snapchat, sending news to one another. I mean, that's just what kids do nowadays. It's weird as fuck. Weird as fuck, man. Whatever happened to dating? That's supposed to be a thing now. Jesus Christ. Either way, about Party Hard and Party Hard 2, I'm putting them in the same conversation. They're good games. They're fun. They're entertaining. The story is ludicrous, but that's okay, because when I think about playing Party Hard and Party Hard 2, I'm not thinking about the storyline necessarily. I'm thinking about, ooh, I remember this map. Last time I electrocuted that guy and I tried to kill him when I got past the doorway. What can I do this time? Oh, I can set the entire dance floor on fire? That's awesome. Or, ooh, maybe I could hide this guy over here in this dumpster. Or maybe I could have the cops. I could leave this body here, find the cops, and cause a distraction so I could drop this speaker or electrocute somebody or do something else or start a fire and kill all these other party goers that I got to kill. It's just, it opens up the mind of the most sadistic sides of your personality. That's the best way I could describe it. Thank God it's in a video game and it's harmless. Party Hard and Party Hard 2 are also good games because of the fact, this is why they're on Potato PCing, because for low-end people who don't have a lot of money, because let's be real, man, I've said this before in other podcasts and well, it's not a podcast, it's a show. Eventually it will become a show when I get the equipment, but right now it's just an audio format, and it's fine. It simply is what I have to deal with. But Party Hard and Party Hard 2 both run on my piece of crap potato top, and to know that I have the ability to be at a technological disadvantage and I'll still be able to play some of these games is a great sign, because I think there's a lot of people out there that have my situation. Most of us don't have amazing PCs. Some of us have good PCs. Some of us have amazing PCs. But most of us, we probably got a laptop, and it's probably a little old, and it probably can't run the latest, greatest games out there. That's probably why a lot of people, and I would guess this is true. I would guess, this is only a guess, you got to correct me if I'm wrong, post it in the comments or wherever you find this, that people have a laptop and a console. Or they have a decent PC and they might have a console. Or they're strictly a PC gamer, and then they put all their investment and their free money that they have remaining after they kind of do their bills or whatever into the PC upgrading. And that's the thing. PCs are an expensive hobby. It's an expensive luxury item for entertainment. It really is, because technology runs past us faster than humans can create it sometimes. And just to know that as far as Potato PC and that Party Hard 2, Death Road to Canada, other games I'm going to be talking about in the near future are just available for us who don't have those top of the line, high end machines to play the modern games, and we still can find games that are enjoyable, that are worth our money. That's a great thing. So Party Hard and Party Hard 2 are games I both recommend. I recommend you go try them, and they're pretty affordable. They go on sale on a pretty regular basis, so you could probably pick them up for pretty cheap if you look in the right places. I'm not going to tell you where to look, but you could go to Steam, or you could go to this site, this cdkeys.com website, or a key site, the gray area. Oh my God, I got stories about that. I really do. I have stories about I'll tell this in a future episode. I used to work for a key store, and oh my God, this was a weird time of my life. It was very funny. But anyways, Party Hard and Party Hard 2 are absolutely worth your time. They're low spec as far as system requirements, so you'll be able to play them on pretty much anything. If I could run it on this piece of shit 14-year-old laptop, then you, with the laptop you have, will most likely be able to run it. And I want you to experience Party Hard and Party Hard 2. Then you could tell me what your kill of the week was. Last time on Phrasing with Jay, when I did a solo show, I talked about the best video game movies, and we started off with Mortal Kombat, which I will always defend Mortal Kombat as being one of the best video game adaptation movies ever made in existence. It's awesome. Now, we get to this part, because unfortunately, negativity sells on the internet. The worst video game movies. And we're going to start off in the same vein. We had, for best video game movies, Mortal Kombat. One of the worst video game movie adaptations I'd ever seen in my life was the second Mortal Kombat, the sequel. Oh, we know what this one is. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I'm going to say it again because you need to hear this. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I know why they called it Annihilation, because they annihilated any of the good faith that they had built up with the first fucking release. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It's unfortunate that they didn't get the same rating back. That was a big deal. On top of it, they started the movie off in the worst way possible. Spoiler alert, because I'm probably going to spoil something as far as the movie is concerned. But this was a movie made way back in the fucking, 90s, early 2000s. So if you're mad about a spoiler from a movie that's been out for over 10 years, well, too fucking bad. I can't help you with that one. I'll do what I want, goddammit. No, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. In the beginning of the movie, what do? They killed Johnny Cage. Why would you kill Johnny Cage? Don't kill Johnny Cage! What the fuck? Why would you kill Johnny Cage? He was the highlight of the first movie. Why? Why would you waste the chemistry that Liu Kang and Johnny Cage had together? It was great. And then the actor who played Johnny Cage, he was the perfect Johnny Cage. I don't know any other actor that embodied the cageness of Johnny Cage. Well, maybe Nicolas Cage, but that's different. I don't know if we want crazy, freaking out all the time, daddy long legs fucking Johnny Cage. No, I don't know if I'm actually okay with that. But Mortal Kombat 2, they killed Johnny Cage. They went too far into the absurdity. It was cool when Liu Kang had to face off with one reptile. It was not cool when the group had to face off, I think it was Raiden or something like that. I don't even remember. It was been a long time. I probably should have watched a movie, but I'm doing this all from memory. I just remember that Nightwolf was in the movie for a little bit, and then they kind of downplayed his part. You had Jade in the movie, and she made a weird appearance, although her appearance kind of makes a little bit of sense, mainly because Jade was a secret character in the Mortal Kombat games. Ooh, this tells you how far back I've been playing Mortal Kombat. And so she kind of appeared in a weird way, and I imagine that the writers had to write something for her. I don't know why they wrote that. Like, ooh, Liu Kang, let me just make out with you. You reject me, I will attack you now. It's so stupid. And, you know, I don't know why they did this. I don't know why Hollywood does this, but if you have a villain like Shao Kahn, the guy, the God Emperor with the skull helmet mask, don't take it off him. Don't take it off him. When they took off that dude's helmet, I went, that's the dude who's always in Star Trek. Because if you look back, the actor who played Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, for whatever reason, he always managed to guest star and do guest appearances on Star Trek. I have no idea why. I mean, he's a good actor, obviously. I like him as an actor. So when I saw him, I went, holy shit, they got the Star Trek special guest guy to come on. That's fucking amazing. Ooh, the amount of actors that I could talk about who have appeared in Star Trek would blow your fucking mind. It really would. Like, some of them would be people that you would never think to appear in Star Trek, and other people would be like, oh yeah, I could see them doing a one-off. But this is about Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Mortal Kombat, the first movie, was good. It was entertaining. It was cheesy. It was campy. It felt like a Hong Kong action movie. Not action movie. It felt like a Hong Kong martial art movie that with just American quality production. And it was awesome. They had great fight scenes. They had blasting fucking synth music. Do. Mortal Kombat is so legendary. Talk about legendary stuff in gaming and in pop culture in general. Even if you're not a fan of the video game, everybody knows Mortal Kombat. And then they know the song. Everybody knows it. And then they made that new Mortal Kombat movie. It was pretty good. It was actually pretty good. It wasn't the best movie in the world, but it was pretty good. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was really brutal. That Mortal Kombat adaptation is okay. I haven't watched it in a long time, so I'll watch it back and I'll talk about it in a future episode. Shout out to the Stevie Richards Show again. I keep saying future episode. Sorry, Steve. Sorry, James. I don't mean to keep stealing your bits, but hey, man, I'm a fan of your show and I learn more from you every day. But when I'm talking about Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the thing about the movie is they introduce characters, only to have them be one note, not have any real character development at all. They were just extras and fodder. It was like they looked through the Mortal Kombat roster and went, ooh, okay, who could we add? We need someone in this scene. Oh, okay, let's add Ermac. Ermac, for people who don't know, is a powerful ass character. Ermac in the movie world should have been able to rip assholes apart when it came to the Mortal Kombat champions. Are you shitting me? Don't get me wrong. There was this cool little B plot involving Jax. And I think actually if I have to talk about one positive outside all the negative, including that CGI abomination of the three-headed dragon fighting Liu Kang the dragon. It went from Shao Kahn and Liu Kang facing off as mortals to they both did their animalities and they turned into like dragons and they started fighting. That was stupid. I thought that was dumb. I went, no, don't waste animate. No. Beat the dude's ass, Liu Kang, then turn into a dragon and just do your Dragon Ball Z scream of rage and you charge up. You turn into a dragon, you chop Shao Kahn like you see in the Fatality. There's the end of the movie. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. But no, that's not what they did. That was terrible, by the way. If you ever go back and watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about, and you'll go, ooh, yeah, that's not good. It's not as bad as I'm talking about, but it's very much not good. It's just like, this is stupid. Why? You could have done this so much better. And you know what? Hindsight's 20/20. That's the beauty of it. I'm sure when they made it, they thought it was the most badass thing in the world because it sounds great on paper. Liu Kang versus Shao Kahn, and they both transform into dragons, and they fight? Fuck yeah. But then you see it and you go, oh, Oh, no, no, no. I actually don't like that. I'm actually not a fan of that at all. I would have just rather have Liu Kang beat the shit out of Shao Kahn, get him stunned, he turns into a dragon, screams a rage, and then chomps him down, kills him, and the movie's over. Hell yeah, that'd be dope. But if there is one positive that I can cite with Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the only positive is probably the fact that they brought Robin Shou back. They brought the actress who played Katana back. I believe those were the only two. I know they had a different Raiden. I'm pretty sure they had a different Sonya Blade too, now that I think about it. Let me check real quickly. Because Bridget Wilson played the original Sonya Blade. And I remember her when I first saw her in Billy Madison, when that was weird. That was weird seeing Bridget Wilson and Billy Madison. But, is what it is, man. You can't really, what's it called? You can't really wish for things that can never be undone. Yeah, they did change the Sonya Blade. In Mortal Kombat, the original movie adaptation, it was Bridget Wilson. In this one, in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, it was Sandra Hess. And Sandra Hess, from what I remember, is a good actor. I don't think she did Sonya Blade any injustice, but when I saw Bridget Wilson in the first Mortal Kombat and I got to see her as Sonya Blade, I really have always identified Sonya Blade as Bridget Wilson. She did a fantastic job. The only other actress that ever could have played Sonya Blade as well as Bridget Wilson was arguably Jeri Ryan. And Jeri Ryan is a insanely good actress. She's a very good actress. And I can't compare the two because I think that's unfair. I think they do different types of movies and different types of television, so they're not comparable in that sense. But I have to qualify this. I have to quantify this in some way, and I'm looking at it at their portrayals of Sonya Blade, because Jeri Ryan did a portrayal of Sonya Blade for, I believe, a YouTube web series or something like that, and she did a fantastic job. I liked what she did. I liked the way she played Sonya Blade. She gave Sonya Blade an edge and a grit of a military specialist, but also made her very human and feminine and womanly. And the same thing with Bridget Wilson. Sandra Hess did fine too. It's just Sandra Hess didn't have a lot to do. And one of the positives that I was talking about earlier that I'll get onto now was Jax, the Jax plot line. And I think this is a metaphor for what a lot of people go through. Jax got cybernetic arm enhancements. We all know Jax with the cybernetic arm enhancements. And then in certain Mortal Kombats, he doesn't have them. Jax went through this story arc and character development thing where he thought his cybernetically enhanced arms were what made him strong. And then he gets his cybernetic arms ripped off. And through that, he ends up defeating the bad guy. He ends up fucking winning that fight. I remember this really pivotal moment that is way more emotionally charging to me than I realized as I talk about it. I remember seeing Jax, this was when I was a kid, rip off the other cybernetic enhancement, and he rose to fight. And I think that's something that I look at now as an adult as the stuff that you think that makes you strong is not on the exterior. It's in your heart. And it's the things that's what Jax was showing me when I was a kid. It was Jax ripping off that exterior, and he got up and he just showed himself. He was a beast. He was all that he needed. Jax didn't need those metal arms to make him special. What made Jax special was he was Jax. That's what made him special. He's this slick, foul-mouthed, swaggerific, Shaft type of brother. You know what I mean? And everything about Jax screamed to me as somebody that I look back now and I think I looked up to him as a kid a little bit. Because I remember when I saw that story, I felt so happy for Jax. I remember as a little younger kid, I was happy for him because I was going, oh yeah, fuck yeah, Jax, you ripped that shit off. You don't need that shit, man. You good enough on your own. And wow, that made me way more emotional than I thought. Oh my God. Ooh. Little emotional water came out my eye. But that's the one good thing about Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It was that little B plot with Jax and his struggle with himself with those cybernetic arms. Other than that, Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a terrible sequel to Mortal Kombat, and that is why it is on the worst video game movies list for this episode. All right, everybody, I have lists of shit that I want to talk about. I really do. But what I'm going to do is I promised I was going to keep this about an hour. I just realized I ran about nearly a half hour over. So I'm going to cut it here. And all the topics that I had to talk about, I'm going to save it for the next solo episode of Phrasing with Jay. Thank you very much. Please go check out the YouTube channel, the Twitch stream, and the Instagram at GameJ or GameJisSus. And give me a follow, a subscription, hit the bell, do all those fancy smancy things. Because with your support, it really does make the difference. All right, everybody, I'm out. Deuces. Love you.